This is not just an ancient tale, it's an emotional journey that challenges our deepest beliefs. Discover the mysteries of Job, a man who faced the unimaginable and yet remained steadfast. Stay with us and witness how this millennia-old story still powerfully resonates in our lives today. Job was a man of integrity and righteousness, always committed to living a moral life and maintaining a deeply disciplined relationship with God. In the land of Uz lived a man named Job. This man was blameless and upright. He feared God and shunned evil. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He owned 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 donkeys, and a large number of servants. He was considered the greatest man among all the people of the East. Job's children would hold feasts in their homes on their birthdays and invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. After each period of feasting, Job would arrange a purification ritual for them. Early in the morning, he would offer a burnt sacrifice for each of them, thinking, "Perhaps my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." This was Job's regular practice, as described in chapter 1, verses 1-5. God highlighted Job's virtues before Satan. However, Satan argued that Job was righteous only because God abundantly favored him. One day, the angels presented themselves before the Lord, and Satan was also among them. The Lord asked Satan, "Where have you come from?" Satan replied, "From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it." Then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him, a man who is blameless and upright, who fears God and shuns evil." Satan replied, "Does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his flocks and herds are spread throughout the land." These dialogues between God and Satan are narrated in chapter 1, verses 6-10. Satan challenged God, saying that if Job suffered, he would curse God. God allowed Satan to torment Job to test this claim, but prohibited him from taking Job's life. "Very well," the Lord said to Satan, "everything he has is in your power, but on the man himself do not lay a finger." Then Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. These events are described in chapter 1, verses 11-12. Job received 4 terrible pieces of news in one day. His sheep, servants, and 10 children had died due to invaders, robbers, or natural disasters. While his sons and daughters were feasting at the eldest brother's house, a messenger arrived and said, "The oxen were plowing, and the donkeys were grazing nearby when the Sabaeans attacked and made off with them. They put the servants to the sword, and I am the only one who has escaped to tell you." While this messenger was speaking, another came and said, "The fire of God fell from the heavens and burned up the sheep and the servants, and I am the only one who has escaped to tell you." While he was still speaking, another messenger came and said, "The Chaldeans formed 3 raiding parties and swept down on your camels and carried them off. They put the servants to the sword, and I am the only one who has escaped to tell you." While this last messenger was still speaking, a 4th messenger arrived and said, "Your sons and daughters were feasting at the eldest brother's house when a mighty wind swept in from the desert and struck the 4 corners of the house. It collapsed on them, and they are dead, and I am the only one who has escaped to tell you." These tragic events are recounted in chapter 1, verses 13-19. Upon hearing this devastating news, Job tore his robe, shaved his head, and fell to the ground in worship, saying, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised." In all this, Job did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing, as described in chapter 1, verses 20-22. Satan appeared in heaven again, and God allowed him to inflict more suffering on Job, this time on his body. Job endured terrible sores from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. Even his wife urged him to curse God and give up. But Job remained steadfast, saying, "Shall we accept good from God, and not trouble?" 3 friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, came to comfort him. They sat in silence for 7 days, respecting his grief. Eventually, Job broke the silence and expressed his pain, cursing the day of his birth. He lamented his existence and compared life to darkness. In the dialogues that followed, Job's friends tried to convince him that his suffering was due to some hidden sin. Eliphaz argued that Job, who once consoled others, must now face his own troubles. Bildad suggested that Job's children died because of their own wickedness. Zophar implied that Job's punishment was even less than he deserved. These words deeply irritated Job. He called his friends worthless physicians and accused them of false claims. In chapter 19, verse 25, Job declared, "I know that my Redeemer lives, and that in the end, he will stand on the earth." The suffering became unbearable, but Job never abandoned his faith. In the end, God intervened and spoke to Job from a whirlwind, reminding him of his power as creator. Job responded humbly, saying, "I am unworthy, how can I reply to you? I put my hand over my mouth." God restored Job, doubling his possessions, giving him 7 sons and 3 daughters, and prolonging his life with abundant blessings. Though God never explained the purpose of Job's suffering, the central message transcends the lack of answers. Human suffering is not always a punishment nor has an evident explanation in this life. For Christians, this message echoes the work of Christ on the cross, who suffered without explanation but with an eternal purpose. The story of Job invites us to reflect on the mystery of suffering, faithfulness, and hope. May the inspiration of Job illuminate your path. Thank you for joining us on this powerful journey.